Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Monday, January 3rd, 2021. Going to be quick here today. Today we're going to recap yesterday's Week 17 NFL games. I'll get to tonight's game, college basketball, NBA, NHL, college football bowl games, news and notes, and best bet. All right, we'll start in the NFL. Week 17, we will recap games from yesterday, and we'll look ahead to a big game tonight. Bills over the Falcons 29-15, Bears over the Giants 29-3, Bengals over the Chiefs 34-31, Titans over the Dolphins 34-3, Raiders over the Colts 23-20, Patriots over the Jags 50-10, Bucks over the Jets 28-24, Eagles over Washington 20-16, Rams over the Ravens 20-19, Chargers over the Broncos 34-13, 49ers over the Texans 23-7. Cardinals over the Cowboys 25-22. Saints over the Panthers 18-10. Seahawks over the Lions 51-29. Packers over the Vikings 37-10. So, yeah, Kirk Cousins didn't play in that game because he ended up testing positive. I thought Green Bay was going to kill him even with Cousins. So now we look ahead to tonight. We have the Browns and the Steelers. My projection here is Steelers by 1 3/4, total 43-8. And it's funny because on the Friday show, I took the Steelers as the money line underdog pick of the week. I'm just still going to qualify for that because of what date it was placed. Because the Browns are eliminated from playoff contention now. Still a big game for the Steelers. And now they're favored in result of it, 2.5 from 43. So the question is, do I go with the Browns, where I have a 3/4 edge on, or do I go with the over, which I have an 8/10 on? And I'd rather go with the over because I can see where the Browns just quit on defense. And they just gave up a ton of points to Ben Roethlisberger and company. So a slight over for the podcast pick for tonight. All right, now move on to college basketball. We're going to try to be very quick here. We'll go over the results from the weekend and look ahead to tonight. I apologize in advance. I did not do lines for tonight's games. And I'm not going to go over what games are postponed due to COVID either. Number 18, Kentucky over High Point, 92-48. Winthrop over Converse, 78-40. A&M Corpus Christi over Sul Ross, 101-49. Bryant over Sacred Heart, 85-82. Liberty over Boyce, 91-60. Central Arkansas over Champion Christian, 119-47. New Orleans over Belhaven, 94-54. Wagner over St. Mary's, forfeit. Merrimack over Long Island, 82-77. William & Mary over Northeast, 71-70. Delaware over Charleston, 67-66. Quinnipiac over Niagara, 77-68. Eastern Kentucky over Alice Lake, 106-52. Fairleigh Dickinson over St. Fran, PA, 70-62. And Central Con over St. Fran, Brooklyn, 67-55. New Year's Day, number 17, Texas over West Virginia, 74-59. Memphis over Wichita State, 82-64. Creighton over Marquette, 75-69 in double overtime. BU over Bucknell, 63-61. VMI over Furman, 76-67. Number 1, Baylor over number 8, Iowa State, 77-72. Number 22, Villanova over number 15, Seton Hall, 73-67. FA over St. Thomas, Florida, 95-72. Army over Loyola, Maryland, 77-74 in overtime. Navy over Holy Cross, 70-56. Louisiana Tech over Western Kentucky, 74-73. Milwaukee over Northern Kentucky, 61-55. Wright State over Green Bay, 72-69. Louisiana over Coastal Carolina, 65-64. Akron over Buffalo, 88-76. Kent State over Toledo, 66-63. Number 21, Providence over DePaul, 70-53. UAB over UTSA, 87-59. Montana State over Idaho State, 60-40. Oakland over Youngstown State, 87-72. Texas Arlington over Troy, 62-57. St. Thomas, Minnesota over Western Illinois, 89-66. Ohio over Western Michigan, 59-47. Lehigh over American, 63-61. Eastern Washington over Northern Arizona, 78-65. Utah Valley over Tarleton, 77-55. Florida State over NC State, 83-81. App State over UL Monroe, 77-69. San Diego State over UNLV, 62-55. Number 6, Kansas over George Mason, 76-67. Rutgers over Central Connecticut, 79-48. Arkansas State over Georgia Southern, 74-56. Southeast Missouri State over Austin Peay, 98-79. North Texas over Rice, 75-43. New Mexico State over Chicago State, 78-61. Miami over Wake, 92-84. Virginia over Syracuse, 74-69. Ball State over Bowling Green, 81-80. Tulane over Cincinnati, 68-60. Oklahoma over Kansas State, 71-69. Oral Roberts over Omaha, 107-62. Northern Colorado over Southern Utah, 91-81. Montana over Weber State, 74-72. Abilene Christian over Dixie State, 64-50. Nevada over New Mexico, 79-70. UC San Diego over Cal State Northridge, 72-64. And Oregon over Utah, 79-66. Sunday. The results from Sunday. UNC over BC, 91-65. Indiana State over Bradley, 76-71. Number 10, Michigan State over Northwestern, 73-67. Iowa over Marist, 69-66. Coastal Carolina over Emory and Henry, 76-62. SMU over UCF, 70-60. Cornell over Dartmouth, 79-71. Binghamton over UMass Lowell, 68-63. NJIT over Maine, 69-66. Valpo over Indiana State, 81-76 in overtime. Northern Iowa over Evansville, 83-61. St. Louis over Richmond, 76-69. Rhode Island over American International, 70-55. Penn over Brown, 77-73. Penn State over Indiana, 61-58. Number 12, Houston over Temple, 66-61. Incarnate Word over Dallas Christian, 90-45. Louisville over Georgia Tech, 67-64. Cal over Arizona State, 74-50. Number 13, Ohio State over Nebraska, 87-79 in overtime. And Missouri State over Drake, 61-56. Now we look at tonight. I'm not going to do any gambling lines and stuff. I'm just going to go through who plays. 5 o'clock, Alabama State, Miss State. Sacramento State, Oregon State at 6. Towson Drexel, 7 o'clock, Big Ten Network. Number 24, Wisconsin. Number 3, Purdue. 7:30, Florida A&M, Bethune-Cookman. Texas Road against Houston. 8 o'clock, Washington. Number 9, Arizona. Dallas Christian, UTSA. Ecclesiastic, Houston Baptist. 8:30, Texas Southern. Alabama A&M, Arkansas Pine Bluff. 9 o'clock, Big Ten Network. Maryland, Iowa. And 10 o'clock, Pac-12 Network. Colorado, Oregon. All right, now we'll look back on the NBA from the weekend. We'll look ahead to tonight's games. And yes, I did do lines for the NBA, but I did not do totals. So Friday night, Celtics over the Suns, 123-108. Bulls over the Pacers, 108-106. Mavs over the Kings, 112-96. Heat over the Rockets, 120-110. Hawks over the Cavs, 121-118. Raptors over the Clippers, 116-108. Grizzlies over the Spurs, 118-105. Thunder over the Knicks, 95-80. Jazz over the Timberwolves, 120-108. And Lakers over the Blazers, 139-106. Saturday, Bucks over the Pelicans, 136-113. Pistons over the Spurs, 117-116 in overtime. Bulls over the Wizards, 120-119. Clippers over the Nets, 120-116. Nuggets over the Rockets, 124-111. And the Warriors over the Jazz, 123-116. Sunday, Raptors over the Knicks, 120-105. Celtics over the Magic, 116-111 in overtime. Cavs over the Pacers, 108-104. Kings over the Heat, 115-113. Suns over the Hornets, 133-99. Mavs over the Thunder, 95-86. And the Lakers over the Timberwolves, 108-103. Now we look ahead to tonight. Big window of games. 7 o'clock, you have the Rockets and the Sixers. My projection is Philly by a whopping 21.25. And it is the game. Oh, here it is. 13 and 220.5. I'm going to lay the points with the Sixers. Hornets, Wizards. My projection is the Wizards by 7/8. And it's 1.5 and 2, 3, 1.5. I'll take the under. There's some injuries and COVID stuff going on. NBA TV, Grizzlies, Nets. My projection is Brooklyn by 7 3/4, and it's 6 and 226.5. Tough one, but I'm going to actually go with the under because some Grizzlies role players are out. 8 o'clock, Magic Bulls. My projection is Chicago 23 3/4. And it's 14 to 20.5. I'm laying it with Chicago. Pistons Bucks. My projection is Milwaukee by 29 3/4. And it's 16 and 226. I'll lay the points. Jazz Pelicans. My projection is Utah 16. And it's 9.5 and 226. I'll lay it with Utah. 8:30 Nuggets Mavericks. My projection is Dallas by 1.5. And it's 3-2-14. I'll take the over. I think that's a little low. 10 o'clock NBA TV Heat Warriors. My projection is Golden State 13. And it's 10.5 and 2-17. I'll still lay it with Golden State. Hawks Blazers. My projection is Hawks by 5 and it's 6-2-26. I'll take the under because of no Dame and CJ. And last but not least, 10:30 the Timberwolves and the Clippers. I have a pick 'em. And it's Clippers 3.5 total 216.5. I'm taking the Timberwolves plus the 3.5. I think they're going to win the game outright too, plus 138. I think that's like one of the underdogs I think are going to win tonight in the association. No Paul George in that game, so I really, really like the Timberwolves' chances in that matchup. NHL time, we'll look back on the games from last night, and we will look ahead to today. Oh, and of course the rest of the weekend prior. So Friday, Devils over the Oilers 6-5 in OT. Golden Knights over the Ducks 3-1. Rangers over the Lightning 4-3 in a shootout. Capitals over the Red Wings 3-1. Saturday, Bruins over the Sabres 4-3 in OT. Panthers over the Habs 5-2. Hurricanes over the Blue Jackets 7-4. Isles over the Oilers 3-2 in OT. Preds over the Blackhawks 6-1. Maple Leafs over the Senators 6-0. Blues over the Wild 6-4 in the Winter Classic. Canucks over the Kraken 5-2. Kings over the Flyers 6-3. Sunday, Rangers over the Lightning 4-0. Bruins over the Red Wings 5-1. Penguins over the Sharks 8-5. Devils over the Capitals 4-3 in OT. Avs over the Ducks 4-2. Jets over the Golden Knights 5-4 in OT. Flames over the Blackhawks 5-1. All right, now we look ahead to tonight. Only one game. Two of them were postponed because they're both in Canada. Hurricanes, Maple Leafs, and the Wild in the Sens. So Canada's not letting U.S. go over the border for the time being. That's an issue the NHL's got to work on. The lone game tonight from Madison Square Garden. The Oilers at the Rangers. I don't know why Edmonton's favored in this game. They have no business being favored at MSG with a good Rangers team. But it's a slight favorite. They're minus 111. Rangers are minus 108. Over under 6.5. Minus 110 each way. Oilers minus 1F is plus 210. Rangers plus 1F is minus 265. I'm going to go with the Rangers. I know it's the second of a back-to-back, but it's like a little more so because there's a day game followed by a night game. So I really think that's not much of a back-to-back in like a normal way. So I'm going to go with the Rangers minus 108 to win their third consecutive game. All right, college football bowl game results. We will recap from New Year's Eve to New Year's Day. We'll start with New Year's Eve. Number 17, Wake Forest over Rutgers 38-10 in the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. Wake finishes at 11-3. Rutgers finishes 5-8. The Sun Bowl, Central Michigan over Washington State 24-21. Central finishes 9-4 with Washington State 7-6. Cotton Bowl College Football Playoff, number 1 Alabama over number 4 Cincinnati 27-6. As Alabama moves on to the national championship game, they're 13-1. Cincinnati finishes at 13-1. And the Orange Bowl, number 3 Georgia over number 2 Michigan 34-11. As Georgia moves on to set up a rematch of the SEC title game against Alabama, Georgia finishes at 13-1. Michigan finishes 12-2. The Arizona Bowl got canceled because Central Michigan shifted to the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. And a New Year's Day, Outback Bowl, number 21 Arkansas over Penn State 24-10. Arkansas finishes 9-4. Penn State finishes 7-6. Number 9 Oklahoma State over number 5 Notre Dame 37-35 in the Fiesta Bowl. Oklahoma State finishes 12-2. Notre Dame finishes 11-2. Citrus Bowl, number 22 Kentucky over number 15 Iowa 20-17. Kentucky 10-3. Iowa 10-4. Rose Bowl, number 6 Ohio State over number 11 Utah 48-45. What a Rose Bowl. This was the best Rose Bowl in a couple years. Ohio State finishes 11-2. Utah finishes 10-4. And in the Sugar Bowl, number 7 Baylor over number 8 Ole Miss 21-7. Baylor finishes 12-2. Ole Miss finishes at 10-3. So no bowl game until tomorrow night, which is the Texas Bowl between LSU and Kansas State. We will preview and pick that on the podcast tomorrow. All right, news and notes time. There's some things that we have to get to from the weekend. Breaking news right now, Kyrie Irving expected to make a season debut Wednesday against the Pacers in Indiana. I think that's a good thing for the Nets. It gives them their third wheel that they've been missing all season. They just need bodies. And Kyrie's a body. And he's better than what they've had in some role players scenarios. And I think Kyrie's going to have a big chip on his shoulder that the Nets have welcomed him back to be a part-time role player for the time being. An NFL coach rips Giants head coach Joe Judge. As a veteran coach, not impressed with him. He wants to be a tough guy, a mini Bill Belichick, he says. And that's somewhat accurate. He worked under Bill Belichick in New England. It's funny because initially the Giants said that they wanted to bring back Joe Judge because they've had a lot of injuries and COVID issues this year. But they've just quit on him. The defense especially. I think there's a 50% chance he gets fired. And that John Mara might have lied to the media, which is, lying to the media is not a bad thing when it's this time of the year. That's why we call it lying season. And the big thing that happened yesterday in the NFL is that Antonio Brown, in mid-game, walked off the field and ripped his shirt off as he had a sideline outburst. And Bruce Arians said that he's no longer a Buccaneer. And Bruce Arians says that Antonio Brown refused to enter the game against the Jets, so the coach told him, get out. And then apparently he fell too injured to play. This is just a mess. And the guy just has mental health issues, and I think that he needs to see somebody. And I honestly don't think he's going to play in the NFL again. Him and Odell Beckham Jr., the two guys, from 3 years ago, which thought out to be the best two receivers in football, are now, one of them is literally out of the league, and the other one really just hasn't been the same player, and wouldn't be surprising if he's out of the league within the next couple of years, because he just isn't the same player, and he's a cancer, as I've said multiple times on the podcast. And the Giants are still suffering from the stink of Odell Beckham Jr. He entered that franchise, and that franchise went to hell once he got there, and you're still recovering from him, Odell Beckham Jr. in a way. And the Giants stuff, I could just talk about it on a different podcast itself, and how they're bad because Eli Manning, they thought he was still good, and it caused them to pick Saquon Barkley. That's the sole reason why they're where they are. Taking Saquon Barkley instead of Quentin Nelson is why the Giants are in hell right now. And it's all because they thought Eli Manning was still good. But we'll get more into that, in depth into that, on the show in the next few weeks and whatnot after the regular season comes to an end. But I don't know where it went from Antonio Brown to the Giants. So let's talk about Odell Beckham Jr. too. And Bruce Arians has a ruptured Achilles, and he'll need immediate surgery if tendon fully ruptures. And Jay Glazer reports he's been trying to keep it under wraps. Green Bay hopeful that Aaron Rodgers returns in 2022 after the improved relationship this season. We'll see. And Green Bay is expected to franchise tag Devontae Adams before attempting to work out a long-term deal. Matt Nagy expected to be fired, and they're supposed to search for his successor after Week 18. The Seattle duo's future is in doubt, and there's a league-wide feeling that Russ and Pete Carroll will not be together again next season. I won't be shocked if they're both gone. One of them's going to be retired or fired, and the other one's going to be playing for another team. David Tepper has buyer's remorse. He's unhappy and embarrassed with Matt Rule's 7 year, $62 million deal signed 2 years ago. Well, I ripped that contract when he got it, and they're still terrible with him. And it's all because of a quarterback there, too. I can go on and on and on about Matt Rule and Joe Judge and how quarterbacks have cost these coaches jobs in ways. More so potentially Rule than Judge. But you could argue both. Patriots extend Adrian Phillips 3-year extension worth $12.75 million, including a $7.25 million guaranteed. So that is good. Roman Reigns has COVID-19 as he will not be added to he was not added to the Day 1 PPV, as Lesnar will be added to the Fatal 5-Way for the WWE title. Luka Doncic cleared COVID-19 protocol, so that's good news for them. Lance Stevenson joining the Pacers as he reunites with the Pacers on a 10-day hardship deal after playing a little bit with the Hawks. NBA reduces isolation period as the new protocol will allow players to return after 5 days depending on test results. So that's good that everybody's going back down to what the CBC is doing. It just helps a lot of teams. And I think we discussed on the show the reason why they reduced the number is because of Delta. Michael Gallup torn ACL. That's unfortunate for Dallas. Ricky Seals-Jones that carted off during that Eagles game with the scary collision with the cameraman. Both Jimmy Garoppolo and Lamar Jackson did not play yesterday. Michael Pruitt was taken off with a leg injury, the Titans tight end. There's so much news and notes. I didn't even realize it. So there's an incident in the Rockets locker room. Kevin Porter Jr. threw an object, and Christian Wood refused to play the second half. That was the other day. That was ridiculous. What a mess. I think Stephen Silas is a coach that's in trouble. He might be the David Fizdale, like the new David Fizdale, in terms of he's just an awful coach, despite a bad team. So Rajon Rondo got traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers after Ricky Rubio season-ending injury. And Denzel Valentine's supposed to go to the Lakers in the deal, it looks like. The New York Liberty to hire Sandy Brondello as its new head coach. I think that's a good hire. Brondello did a great job with the Phoenix Mercury in her time there. And I think that she is a coach that preaches winning, and the Liberty are a team that's ready to win now. Matt Corral got injured in the Sugar Bowl with a leg injury. So that's not good because he's obviously going to be in the draft. And then two more items, not sports related. The FDA authorizes Pfizer COVID shots for kids aged 12 to 15. We'll see if Moderna follows suit. And Betty White dead at the age of 99. So that's just the saddest news of the weekend for sure. She just missed her 100th birthday, which would have been in January. So that's just very sad. Thoughts and prayers to her family and her friends. This is the worst news of the weekend for sure. All right, last but not least, my best bet of the day. brought to you by FanDuel. I don't know how the Rangers line just went to even money against Edmonton just on the spot. There must be injuries with the Rangers that we don't know about, or COVID. But I think that's very strange. So we'll go to the NBA. And I'm going to take Minnesota +4 at the Clippers because of the absences of some of their players, including Paul George. I just don't see the Clippers winning this game without Paul George. That's what it comes down to for me. So I'm taking the Minnesota Timberwolves getting 4 points against the Clippers. All right, so that's it for the show today. I'll be back tomorrow recapping everything from today, looking ahead to tomorrow, including a bowl game tomorrow as well, and news and notes and best bet and potentially an activity along the way. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.